Hi guys, today we're going to take a look at Medusa Tower. This is a spot that's been improved quite a bit recently by Tipsoft in the recent rebalance. And yeah, it's definitely much better to hunt now than it was. The density is a little bit better. The loop is so much better with being able to go down immediately from the top level. Much cozier. Lots of grizzly tasks that you can do here on behemoths, medusas and serpent spawns. Good profit. Overall a pretty good spot. I wouldn't say it's going to be an S tier or an A tier spot. You can look in the analyzer on the left. You can expect somewhere about 2.3 2.4 kk raw experience per hour. It's not going to be much more than that because the respawn rate is the bottleneck. I don't think you'd be able to get more than about 2.5 kk raw, which is pretty good experience for this level range. But as you can see on the right hand side from my level 300 to 400 Paladin guide, this is lower than some of the better spots you can get at this level. You've got Yalahar Grims now, which will give you about 3 kk raw. You've got Were Hyena South, which are still better. You've got Asura Palace, Asura Mirror, which are better as well. But those are some really heavy hitters. If you're going for some, just good experience, Medusa Tower is pretty damn good. And it's easy and it's easier for grizzly tasks. So I definitely think Medusa Tower now after the rebalance has a spot for people to, go to. It's definitely a viable place. It's somewhere around a B tier now, I would say. So I think it's definitely good. Not quite the top tier spots that are going to have a letter with 5 people on next waiting to hunt there. But I think you will probably end up seeing some people there from now. Anyway, with that intro out of the way, let's take a look at some proper numbers. First of all, you've got 2 analyzers here. If you were wondering, I hunted here pre-balance a few months ago on my Paladin, and I've hunted here yesterday on my friend's Paladin. And my friend's Paladin has slightly worse EQ. I was only there with like prismatic armor and Zoe and helmet, but it was slightly higher level, whereas my RP back in the day was a little bit lower level, but with better equipment. But anyway, you can very easily see that the experience is higher post rebalance. I would say the experience is somewhere between 10 to 15% better, which makes it a pretty good spot now. So I would recommend level 300 for comfort, but you can start here somewhere around 250. The only problem is that serpent spawns and medusas run away, which for a paladin is very annoying because they start going all over the room. Once you get level 300, you just kind of have that little bit of extra damage that monsters tend to die more often still in the box without having a chance to run away. So that's the main reason. It's not a difficulty thing. If you don't mind the monsters running away, you can come here at 250, I would say. Raw experience you can expect, as I mentioned, somewhere between 2.3 to 2.4 kk raw. This is without the familiar because you overkill the respawn anyway, so the familiar is not going to bring your experience much higher anyway. And the loot you can expect is somewhere between 4 to 500k per hour, which is very good. This is a very good profitable spot for this level range. Oh yes, so I think this place peaks at somewhere about 2.5 kk raw, and I've made a little note. If you're really struggling for respawn and you're really overkilling the respawn, what you could consider is killing the top floor, which is now the new mini boss Gorgo. It now spawns with 2 medusas, so you can consider maybe just killing the 2 medusas just to give you a little bit more time to respawn in the rest of the tower. Or if you've got a lot of damage, you can even just consider killing the Gorgo herself. If that might well bring your experience up a bit if you're overkilling the spawn a lot. So something to consider. I didn't quite feel the need to do it on 317 Paladin, but if you're here, on like a 300 EK, you might want to do that. Difficulty for this spot is 6 out of 10. It's not too terribly difficult, but if you do end up boxing and you have like 8 monsters around you, they do chunk a lot, so you will need some ultimate spirit potions now and then. For bestiary, 4 hours for behemoths and serpent spawns, 8 hours for omnivorous, 10 hours for clay guardians, and 16 hours for medusas. Like I mentioned, 250 plus or 300 plus depending on how you play. There is no access quest required, and this place can effectively be hunted by knights and paladins for sure. I think duos can manage here at a slightly lower level, maybe around level 130. I don't think Druid or Sorcerer is going to do very well here due to the monsters running away. I think a Sorcerer can probably manage, but there's not a lot of kiting room, so not really too recommended for mages. And full team hunt will probably just not have enough respawns. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I recommend all standard imbuements. You don't need any protection imbuement. You should prioritize physical protection followed by life drain and earth protection. If you're struggling, a garlic necklace, for example, will be very helpful. Sleep shawl also very good. And just the standard, earth protection items such as Lion Spangle Helm and Living Vine Bow will be quite helpful. And Bone Fiddle is almost a must, I would consider. This will really help with the life drain damage. With regards to supplies, I recommend 1600 great mana potions per hour. You probably won't be having this much capacity. You're probably going to do at most 30-minute refills here, so 800 great mana potions per refill. Anyway, talking about per hour results, you probably want about 1400 diamond arrows per hour, 20 ultimates, about 300 hours and 300 GFBs. So I use 2 types of runes here. I use 2 avalanches on the sort of bottom 2 floors, +1 and +2, which have a lot of behemoths. And I use GFBs for the rest of the floors. If you're lazy and you don't want to be using 2 types of runes, just bring GFBs and just use GFBs on the first 2 floors as well. It's going to be a little bit slower with behemoths, but it's not going to be too bad. For charms, the most important one is freeze on the behemoth. They have the most health and they'll be the ones slowing down your pack. So if you've got behemoth unlocked, just try and stick something on it, ideally freeze. If you've got serpent spawn as well, then zap is pretty good on it. Medusa, I'm guessing you probably won't be putting charms on, because once you finish Medusa bestiary, you probably won't want to hunt here again. But you can put something on it as well if you want to really hunt here a lot. But I probably don't imagine it. For the wheel, you can use T1 Grenade or T1 Gift of Life. Grenade is a little bit awkward because the monsters run away, which means you can't really guarantee them staying long enough on a grenade. But if you open up the box with a T1 Grenade as a Paladin, that should be fine. And the character you'll see in the video is level 3, 17 Paladin with 221 distance and 29 magic level. And there was no combat praise, but I did have the freeze charm on Behemoth. So now we'll take a look at the route. I mean, it's one of the most basic routes you can probably imagine. It's literally just a tower that you just go up and down. But we'll start. We'll talk you through it anyway. So we'll begin on level +1, and this is by the stairs, is also where the trapdoor leads you from the top floor. So this is basically where you start. What I usually do is I'll usually try to run through all the way up to somewhere here and try to do a pull somewhere around there. This usually almost guarantees majority of the monsters from the whole floor will come and join you here. After I kill it, I just run up a level. So you come out here. Usually I'll go and so this is the most dangerous room, by the way, the +2 in my opinion. It has loads and loads of monsters, but thankfully it has a lot of room to kite. So usually I'll kite somewhere in this big room here. Once the monsters are sort of like down to half health, I'll stop and box somewhere around here and just finish it off. Then I'll run to the stairs and go up to level +3. Here I will usually 7 box next to a statue in here. Usually better to 7 box, I find, in these rooms. You know, just make sure you don't have one monster waving you. So you'll see me in the video probably standing next to like a statue above me or below me or whatever, just to make sure that there's only 7 monsters around me and that I don't get waved by one of them, right? So I'm only being waved by 3 monsters from the left, right, and below me usually. And I've killed, I'll just run up. And similarly here on the +4 level, I'll go and usually try and stand next to something to around about 7 box. Usually it's somewhere around here. Go up a level. On +5 there's only 6 monsters, so you don't even need to really 7 box because there's not quite enough room. Usually I'll just stand somewhere here around the stairs and kill the box. At that point you want to go to the higher new level. This +6 is the new level added recently, so the hole is somewhere here. You go up, and like I mentioned before, if you're really struggling for respawn, you can consider killing the monsters here on +6. I personally skipped it. I just run straight away to the trapdoor on +6, and it brings you down again to +1 on by the staircase right here, and then you just restart. It's very cozy now with the trapdoor. It's much easier to just do a nice big loop, and yeah, overall it's just a nice spot. Loads of grizzly tasks to be had, decent profit, decent experience, a pretty good spot. Solid changes by Tipsoft overall. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, guys. I think this is a pretty good spot. Definitely recommend it. Not A tier, not S tier, but probably a solid B tier now. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you like what they've done with it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.